Thank you for joining us and another exciting edition of the Nikki Show. We're always excited to be joined by trailblazers. And today we have Mr. Lesley Marange. Lesley Marange is the CEO for Glytime Foods. How are you doing, Lesley?
Hi, Nikki. It's a pleasure to be here to finally meet you in person.
I was looking at your profile
Yeah,
and I was amazed at the work that you have achieved. I think that the goals that you've set,
yeah,
but just the standard itself.
yeah, yeah,
And from your profile,
yeah.
I understand that you started off or you grew up at Khami Prisons.
Yes, yes.
Let's start off at Khami Prisons.
So yeah, I grew up in a very unique environment. It's a special environment for me. It's not like any ghetto or any middle density or any. It's a camp. It's a setup where you directly interact with offenders. You are in that space. It's a peri-urban setup which is very distant from all other places, right? So there's a culture that that place gives. There is also a way in which things are done, which are very different from, how things are done anywhere else. But one thing that I've grown to learn in that environment is pretty much the unit of purpose. People could come together for a common cause. When a death happens, everyone would contribute a cup of mealie meal to make sure that the bereavement doesn't burden the one it is before. We could borrow each other chickens on Christmas. There's a lot that was happening in that camp, but over and above it, I think there are certain lessons that I still carry into my today life, right? To say people are at the core of whatever I do. I really value people around me because that's what that background taught me. And I also learned that being underprivileged, we were not even allowed to call names to those offenders. We used to actually respect them, to treat them with respect. So for me, I think those are things that I learned. I don't look down upon anyone. I don't also try to outshine anyone, because the community that I grew up in is united we stand and divided we fall. So pretty much, yeah, I stayed in a prison camp for 18 years.
18 years,
Yeah,
Lesley.
18 years, 18 years. And it was really, I think from my first year to my 18th year, I actually grew up. I finished my A level staying at Khami Prison, but we used to then go to different boarding schools and even my passion for cooking. I was identified when I was living in that prison camp. I think I still remember as early as 11 when I cooked rice. I just added a bit of vanilla essence and I became very popular.
Hold on.
Yes,
You add vanilla essence to rice?
yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, so I think it's, because people had never seen, I think they used to, but I feel it really took a lot of people with surprise to say, oh, rice can actually change color. Something can be added to it and it can be very nice and this aroma. So from there, my passion for cooking was developed. And
Lesley,
yeah,
were there girls in your family?
we actually three of us, two boys and one girl, my young sister. And if you look at the name of my business, is Glytime, which is my mother's name, Gladys, and my young sister's name, Timely. So yeah, there's a girl, but she's the last in our family. So Glytime is Gladys, my mother, and Timely, my young sister. That's Glytime.
You talk about cooking at 11.
Yeah.
People are socialized, or society has been socialized, especially in African communities where the kitchen is for the girls
Yeah.
and the wrestling ground is for the boys.
For the boys, yeah.
How did you adapt to that, and how was your interest interpreted?
Well, I think it came with its own challenges, right? People used to laugh at me, this boy likes cooking. And I used to do even the floors very well, yeah? It's one day I still remember my mother's friends came and she said, go, where did you get this housemaid who is so responsible? I said, I don't have a housemaid. This is the one who cleans the house. So I'm also one person who learned to do things up to perfection at a very tender age. And I just used to, I think even from the Bible, there's Esau the hunter and Jacob who is to stick around the kitchen.
Yes.
So I think I'm also a Jacob in my own way. I just want to stick around the kitchen to see if things are okay. But I actually then developed passion out of it. And there was a conflict between my father and my mother, because my father was an ex-combatant and he was like, agriculture is for men. And my mother was a teacher. She was like, let this boy pursue whatever he thinks. So when I was going for my Form 1 at a boarding school, my mother actually snitched an apron into my trunk to, to say, no, go and pursue your dreams. And when I was about 15, Form 3, I met this girl. She was coming from Kwekwe High, and she told me about food science at A level. And from there, I was actually head boy at my school, but I used to do food and nutrition. And I was the first person to get an A in food and nutrition.
Well done.
So in as much as that was socialized, but I grew to love it and forget about the pressures that the environment is giving in. I then, internalized it, and I did it very well.
When you say that people laughed at you,
Yes, they did.
when they laughed at you,
Yeah.
how did this make you feel internally? Your mother's reassuring you, I
Yeah.
can tell
Yeah.
from the conversation.
Yeah.
But how did this make you feel?
At some point, I think it was embarrassing, Nikki, to be honest with you. It was a bit embarrassing. But I think there's also an element of resilience in me. I'm also a person who, when I focus on something, when I set my mind on something, whatever whatever the environment throws at me, I think I just keep my focus and pursue. So especially when I was, I think the most interesting thing is I was head boy, I was doing food and nutrition, and I was part of the top guys in class. So overall, my excellence would overshadow whatever the pressures that were coming from, the people who would laugh at me, So I think it is that, element of focusing on the overall good and making sure that you achieve whatever you've set yourself to achieve. That mattered to me. And also my father passed away at a very tender age. I was like 14 by then. So I also wanted to make my mother proud in a way. I was, everything that I did was meant to make my mother proud. I know a lot of people live with single mothers and things like that. For me, it was that element too. I knew my mother was struggling. She was just a teacher. She had 3 of us at a boarding school. And it came with a lot of pressure. She's also a diabetic patient since 83. So all that, to me, it was pressure that was on my shoulder to say, you know what, at the end of it all, I just want to make my mother proud. So I think that element pushed me to focus on whatever I was dreaming to achieve.
Is Mama alive?
Yeah, she's alive. She's alive and very strong.
And very strong.
Yes.
Is Mama proud of Lesley?
She's very proud. I mean, for me, I feel I did what I envisioned to do for a mother. I think, growing up in a prison camp, we did not have the houses. These are government houses. So literally, we did not own any house. But when we were able, me, my brother, and my sister, we then made sure our mother has a decent house. We also then told her no to retire. Now we are just taking care of her, making sure that she's well taken care of. So we are very happy with whatever the space she is now. And she's very happy because I've named my business after her and my young sister. And I think that's something that she also shares with her friends. And I think it's something that she's really proud of.
Now, we're proud of Glytime Foods.
Yeah.
Now, you complete your A level.
Yeah.
And then you go to university.
Yes.
What did you study?
I did a degree in food science and technology. And during my university time, I think one of the most interesting things, I started studying about Kellogg's, Nestle, and things like that. And in my mind, I told myself, you know what? If Kellogg's did it, if Nestle did it, I also have to do it. But I think the uniqueness of this story now is those guys did it from a more privileged environment. But I also want to challenge the status quo. Just coming out from Africa, challenging. It's like a David and Goliath scenario that we are trying to create here. Yeah, to actually say from Zimbabwe, we want to create a global brand.
Yeah.
But we want to address the real issues that people are struggling with. Nikki, you know that recent years we've been losing friends, family, relatives because of NCDs.
Yeah.
You just hear somebody is stroked and is dead. Cancer is ravaging. Sugar diabetes is ravaging. Hypertension is ravaging. So somebody has to do something about it. So that's the space that we are participating in. And literally in that space, we are coming up with products that can help people try and manage their weight, because weight is the building block of all these non-communicable diseases. So it's high fiber, low sugar, no cholesterol, and that constitute is what we are really, 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 intensifying our efforts on, so that we can help our community. Just last year, unknown to Zimbabwe, 34% of the deaths that happens in Zimbabwe are due to NCDs.
34%.
Yeah.
Due to non-communicable diseases.
Yes, and globally, 71%, according to WHO, are diseases that are caused, are diet-related diseases.
So there you are studying, and you've got your focus on, I can be the one who provide a solution.
Yes.
I can be the one who can change these dynamics
Yeah.
and these statistics.
Yes, yes.
So how did Glytime start?
So literally, like I told you, the passion for cooking and things like that. And during university days, it was the excitement of getting new insights about life and how things can be done. But literally, in essence, I then started Glytime in 2018. After I had worked at a sugar manufacturing business, and table sugar sales were actually going down. And I realized people are becoming more health conscious. Previously we used to indulge on, soda, junk food, but now people are very health conscious. People are very conscious about what they eat. So I then studied that space, and I checked in the local markets. There was a huge space in terms of healthy food offering, and I got in that space and I settled in well, and now we're now developing ourselves. But it came with a lot of challenges.
How did you set up? Where did you get the money from?
Oh, okay. So when I was working at Star Africa, I was a process manager, and I think I saved about 2,300 from my job, and I told myself I'm going to start a business, right? But all that money, fun enough, it was inflation just got the best share of it, right? And my brother, who is based in South Africa, then gave me money to do the SAPA thing so that I can also come to South Africa. By then I was married, and we had a 1-year-old baby. And he was saying, whatever you're trying to do is not sustainable. Zimbabwe is a difficult environment. Why don't you come here and, get a job? You can actually get 60 to 80,000 rands for your profession. But I actually converted that money and bought a 4-tray oven, right? And before we're actually using our house kitchen oven to do, and we're doing like 8 kgs in a day. We used to actually spend 24 hours, cook our meals in the morning, spend the entire day, preparing granola. And my first
Granola?
yeah,
From your home oven?
from my home oven.
Okay.
And we used to do 8 kgs a day. And from there, we actually then took, because our branding was very neat, I took 1 pack to Food Lovers Greendale, and they said, we're importing this thing. Lesley, why don't you bring this thing to us? And I could only do 5 packs in a week of 24, right? Because in a day we only could do 8 kgs because of that. So when my brother sent me money, I then used that money to buy a 4-tray of it. And then our production improved from 8 kgs to 50 kgs, right? We started working. And then now, because we're using a rented space, 42 horsepower in Mayborough, electricity was going down. And then we had to look for an industrial space, just a small space. We took our oven there. And then Pick n Pay got a whisk of it that we are supplying the local market. They gave us a big order. And that order, I still remember, it was worth 20,000 US. And
how did that make you feel?
I was overwhelmed, because literally in a month we're selling stock worth literally $800. So this was like a huge jump, but to me it was a confirmation that you are in the right space. So I had to check around who can help me to, and there's no collateral. I had no collateral, and this money, for us to get it, we really wanted it to be collateralized, right? So I then approached my uncle, my dad's young brother. I convinced him. He gave me his house to collateralize that money. I got that money, and my first money, we got it from Old Mutual, the microfinance business, right? When we got it from Old Mutual microfinance business, my cousin actually stole 4,000, about 5.5 from us. because we were trying to convert whatever money that we had into hard currency, and then we were left with 14,500, and we had to work very hard. Nikki, I will tell you, we worked very hard because
So this is a relative who has stolen from you.
Yes, it's a relative.
So we've disrupted family relations there.
Well, Nikki, I mean, I was angry at some point, but I had to, now we are very good buddies. We just forgot about it because
Do you believe in employing relatives while we're at it?
I do, Nikki, because I'm in this space to help my relatives, right? But I then made sure through those experiences to put systems, to put structures. If somebody then messes up, I'll give everyone an equal opportunity. But if somebody doesn't perform to par, then he or she is dismissed based on the structures that are in the business. But I have no problem if somebody qualifies and is my relatives. Why not? I can assist that person.
I guess because you also got collateral from
my
relatives.
relatives. Yes, that's the thing.
What gave him the trust in you?
I think discipline. I think one other thing that has been part of my core is discipline. Head boy O level, head boy A level, student administrator, university, a young manager. I also, being an aspirational person, the discipline of just making sure that relatives, if you're a well-disciplined person, they've got a way of supporting you. Because one was healthy, you are not going to take their money for drugs or anything. So I think there was trust that this guy, whatever he's trying to do, is going to work out. So they assisted me.
So you've got 14,000 left?
Yeah, 14,000 left. We bought raw materials. We worked very hard for three months. We got like 36,000. We paid back our loan, our principal and interest. We were left with 11,000. And this is the most interesting part. We then opened that 4-tray oven. We opened it up and then we assimilated what that structure is, and we developed our own 20-tray oven.
Where are these ideas coming from? Where are you investing from?
I think it's the passion that at some point, one day I need to be a Kellogg's. But there are processes and steps that you need to follow to be there. You don't just wake up in that space. I think there are also like turbulences. And for us in our businesses, Nikki, we have seen the turbulence of Zimbabwe. Starting in 2018, you can imagine what we have gone through, like current changes and everything.
Yeah.
But that has created a spine in us to say one thing that my team, now I have a team of 55 people, one thing that my team believe in, and one thing that is our core competence is resilience. You cannot break down the Glytime guys. They are so resilient. Whatever you throw to them, they are just up to the task. They just make sure things are done.
Lesley, I can bet you that there's somebody who's watching right now.
Yeah.
And they insist that the economic environment in Zimbabwe, the ease of doing business is questionable.
Yes.
And you are coming here and you are sharing a totally different story.
Well,
a different narrative.
Well, Nikki, to be honest with you, business in Zimbabwe, doing business in Zimbabwe is not for the faint-hearted. All right. But what we believe in, we don't stop gladiating, Nikki, because of the turbulence. Turbulences will always be there, but we need to fly. We need to go. We need to reach our destination. And we will not stop going to war because of the terrain. The terrain will remain rough, but we will go to war and make sure things are happening. So I think that is one thing that set us apart. And that's how we have managed to grow over the past 7 years. To say, yes, challenges. At some point, I lost money due to inflation. I slept. Pregnant. Even men can be nauseated when things are not well. You sleep on the floor and you struggle to actually breathe, right? But next thing you stand up and find a solution to the problem. So for me, I think we have become a solution-oriented business. And one thing that you get when you step into the Glytime environment, I always tell my guys, I don't want people to tell me the extent of the problem. I want people to tell me the extent at which they have resolved the problem.
That's powerful.
So that's the mantra, to say, guys, problems are not going to go away. Even if we move from here to another environment, we'll find certain set of problems. But what is key is the ability to resolve the problems.
I remember when I was profiling you, you talked about a factory 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Or was it 2 years ago?
2 years ago, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me, where are you now regarding a new plant it was?
We actually finishing this end of May. We'll be commissioning the new factory. So
Congratulations, Lesley.
from 8 kgs, now we'll be doing 1,500 kgs in an hour.
In an hour?
In an hour, yeah. So
do you have a global vision?
Yeah, I have a global vision, and we actually exporting. And from this factory, we'll be exporting to about 12 countries in the region under the SADC and commercial trade protocols. But already from the factory that we have now, we already export to Zambia, to Mozambique, and to Botswana. So we're just expanding our footprint.
How have you managed to penetrate the markets? What systems have you put in place for you to also be able to stand out as a brand that people can invest in, people can trust?
Yeah.
And how have you built the plants?
So pretty much, to be honest with you, I think we have been very strict with our quality. Like when we started, we struggled with a lot of quality issues. Like shelf life, our product would not even go beyond 3 months. Why? Because we never wanted to add preservatives. So we had like an outcry. One thing that I can tell you, for growth to come, you need to be able to accept positive criticism. When people go on name and shame and talk about your brand, don't defend. Listen to the problems that you are facing and correct them. So we corrected the problems that we had. We had a couple of problems, in the process, but we invested in our brand. We took time to listen. And one other thing, delaying gratification, Nikki, focusing on the job. I think that's one thing that is important, because I see a lot of young people missing the mark, trying to take their names out there when you don't have the product or service that's up. Focus on the product and service. Whatever the customer is telling you, make sure you correct, right? And then from there, you actually can have a good launching page. So we have been facing a couple of issues, but I can assure you we are assuming a steady state now, and now we are scaling our business to astronomical levels. And definitely, our success, in a way, I'm guaranteed that definitely Glytime is going to be a global business.
Now here's something else. There are a lot of business proposals that young people will write.
Yeah.
And my business proposal, or this brilliant idea that I have, is not being invested in.
Yeah.
From your experience, what could be the problem? What could be the challenge?
Money follow good ideas. And in Zimbabwe is different from America, hey? We believe in prototypes. We believe in something that has been done, that has been experimented. We believe in something that we see, So Africa, we don't believe in good written business proposals, but in America they do. But in Africa, do the work. If you are saying you want to farm 30 hectares, right? Do 3 beds of vegetables so that people can see that you can actually plant the vegetables. Unless until you do that, nobody will invest in you, especially this side of the world. So for us, when we prototype our Glytime with an investor coming through, our evaluation was really, amazing. We never thought we had actually created such a huge entity. But when the evaluations were done, we actually saw that, we actually worth a couple of, useful dollars, I would say. And then we got an investor. Now we have our own land. Now we have built our own building. Now we have bought state-of-the-art equipment. Now we are going. And after this, we are going to push ourselves into South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, Egypt, and then saturate the entirety of Africa. And then from there, boom, we're a global brand. So that's our roadmap in the next 20 years.
Now, you're a young man. I think that for an under 40, your level of achievement is phenomenal. As we say goodbye, there's an ambitious young person who's trying to figure out how they can place themselves. And who has got a vision, they want to win, they want to build a business, they want to succeed. What would you say to them?
Never give up on your dream. I think I know a lot of young people are running out of the country. Wherever you are going, hold on to your dream. Hold on to your dream. I think you need to dream, not just dream, but act on your dream. And as you're acting on your dream, challenges are going to come. And very serious challenges. I think people interpret business as achievements, but interpret business as the amount of problems that you have managed to solve, right? As you get in there, things are going to be tough. but have a spine. Don't have a jellyfish backbone. Fight for your, because Aumanaga, to be honest, namuinorwadza. So if you don't fight out of poverty, then that's a problem. So young people, let's do this. The environment might be tough, but let's fight to get to where we envision to be. And it can be done. And it has to be done. Thank you.
It can be done, and it has to be done. Lesley Marange, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Nikki. It's been a pleasure.
And these are phenomenal conversations that we have with trailblazers in Zimbabwe. And look, we'll even go beyond. But we want you to know that Namuino Rwadza, and it can be done. Until next time.
Thank you.